Stephen, can you hear me?
No. Yep.
Okay. Where is Padme?
Is she okay? Yes, we hear you, Ron.
All right, roger that.
She was on Skype. I heard her.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
Did you think they had the internet in Star Wars? Fair enough. Think about it.
HoloNet, isn't it?
Is it HoloNet?
We heard it referred to as the or heard something referred to as the HoloNet. Whether it works in the same manner of
I wonder what their equivalent of Google is.
Yeah, like in the Mandalorian, that first episode in season 2, when they're watching they're watching like the replay of the Death Star being blown up. It's like someone on YouTube, like just clicking replay.
They show the sports and the podcast or the pod racing and all that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
In the Lightsaber Lost episode, there was some. I seem to recall there was some HoloNet type of.
Yeah,
on the screen.
Is that the one where Palpatine is like talking about the Jedi and he's saying they're not the bad guys, they're really good guys, and meanwhile everything he's saying is well, from his perspective, is a lie.
Yeah, because Ahsoka's like running through Coruscant chasing that.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's what I'm thinking of.
I still don't. Yeah, I'm missing something else we could also discuss is how the hell did the Jedi work out that Palpatine wasn't not necessarily a Sith Lord, but maybe just a little bit non-trustworthy.
Yeah.
I mean, just he's like pantomime villain.
They had Force glaucoma; they couldn't see him.
Yeah, and Attack of the Clones too. Yoda actually, Palpatine's up talking about sending. I don't know what I think he's trying to get Anakin and Padme together, and Yoda kind of turns and kind of gives him the side eye, right? And he's like, he's onto something here, but he's like a little bit too late.
Yeah.
The shroud of the dark side clouds everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does. But I mean, there's also not just the Force, is it? You've got common sense and your own general suspicions and stuff.
Yeah.
This guy throws up from nowhere.
They rely
and
too much on
over.
the Force, and they don't, necessarily find common sense.
Who was that detective in the Clone Wars? He was terrible. They should have got him. He would have figured it out.
Oh, I just watched that episode. The one with the sort of comb over, the sort of dumpy guy.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
CSI. No, what was that?
Yeah, it was CSI, wasn't it?
It was CSI.
Yeah, I just watched that episode. Yeah, he's brilliant.
It's very derivative of something. Yeah, it was very derivative of something that was going on at the time.
It's like, of course,
I think
that's it.
Because when the explosion happened, there was a droid or something that was very derivative of something at the time too.
Yeah.
Wonder how that holds up.
I think when it comes to the events in Star Wars, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? Everything seems to revolve around what you can say is actual versus what you suspect.
I thought you were going to say everything revolves around those awful races.
Well, like, hey, he's called it's good. Just watch that episode, the one where
Tandivo, that's the guy's name.
Nice.
Oh, wow, I got that one. Did you get that from Google?
Yeah, there's no chance you pulled that.
It did not. It just came to me. I don't know why.
Really?
It just
no way.
That is impressive.
Was he named after Devo or was it Devo?
El Devo. No, that's
El Devo.
No, I was just watching the one where they play that. Oh, come on, it's just trying to come to me. They play this footage. It's the Mandalore stuff, and they play this footage of what she calls Satine's deputy saying all these things about time has come, we need the Republic, and all this kind of stuff, and they just lap it up. And then when they play the actual one, which shows it was all faked, it's like, well, they play a completely different video and they lap that one up. I mean, where's the proof that either were fake or not fake? And how did they just lap this one up in the first place?
Yeah,
that wasn't Mandalore. That was God, the one that, what's his name? The kid. Her son was the one in the Ahsoka arcs. I just watched those episodes with the Onderon arc. But yeah,
Wait,
they
watched
totally
them more recently, and I still can't remember.
That's Matori or something like that.
Yeah, Lux Montour.
Lux.
It was his mom and all that
It's
stuff.
just so much. I mean, honestly, I know you've got to get a little bit into these are cartoons and stuff, and a lot of stuff is smoothed over. But I mean, really? I mean, come on. I mean, anyhow, right? Okay, so should we get going from the top?
Sure.
Do it.
Welcome everybody to the February 2021 edition of the Star Wars Senate, and here we are, myself, Mr. Stephen, and Ricky, Alex, Ron, and Will. Yes, 5 of us this month, and we are going to not comment what I usually yap about. We are going to talk about the High Republic and pretty much anything else that comes to mind along the way. But first of all, we're going to go round the table and see what everybody's been up to Star Wars wise in the last month. And we shall start this time with Ron.
Greetings, fellow senators. Star Wars. Can't recall that I've taken much in. I'm going to post something to the chat group here as a most recent acquisition that I came across in a used bookstore. Whenever I peruse or make my way into one of those, I always try to find the sci-fi section or whatever section they might have that has something, and found a very old book from the 80s of a how to draw Star Wars book, how to draw Star Wars characters, ships, all sorts of things, or whatever. It's very cool. I'm trying to talk and post this image, and I'm not doing a very good job of it. But it was a neat find. I'm going to have some fun with it with my nephew and try to figure out how to draw some things.
I'm just impressed about this whole thing of going out and going in somewhere. That's unreal.
Yeah, it was safe. It was masked up, and not a lot of people in the store. Like I say, it's a used bookstore.
Right.
So I needed to get out every once in a while because just gotten stir crazy with things. So yeah, I'm going to try to figure out how to draw the Falcon.
Can I ask a question? What the heck is C-3PO doing to that Ewok in that image?
He's drawing. Zoom in, and you'll see that he has a pencil in his mechanical hand, and he's drawing the Ewok. Stephen, you.
I mean, from zoomed out, it looks a bit dodgy, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That'd be quite cool because I can't draw for toffee.
Yeah, no, I can't either. Never could. Appreciated those that could, and so yeah, it was a neat find, neat score. Need something to add to the collection. Is
there a year on there, Ron, on that book?
84, I believe.
84. As I say, the font and all that stuff looks like totally 80s.
Oh yeah, it's Random House 80s. Oh yeah, all the way 84. Pretty decent. Good. Yeah, so that's limited and light for me this time.
Right, is there any news on the sail barge?
The status remains the same.
Okay. Just like to check every month.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. So for those that are on the call and otherwise going to be listening, whatever, I have a sail barge that the Supreme Senator from over there loves to bug me about because it's still in the box. It is a very large piece of plastic and requires the right place to be set up in the homestead, and I do not have that, so it still remains in its shipping container.
Wow.
Is it like a snap-in type of deal, or do you have to get a screwdriver and put everything together?
I don't know because I obviously haven't unboxed it. But from what I know of it, learned of it,
some scissors to get in the box.
It's all one piece.
There's a little bit of building, obviously, and I believe that's part of it is why I haven't, because once you take it out of the box and sort of build it, there's no sort of breaking it down easily or safely, or there's not putting it back into the box. It's kind of out and exposed.
It's intimidating.
It's kind of like that big giant Black Series TIE fighter that once you snap the wings onto it and everything, whatever, you're not breaking it back down and putting it in the box.
Jeez.
So you got to be committed when you open one of those things up. Have the space for it.
So are you mapping out where you're going to put it?
Yes. I have an older house, very large large finished off attic that's right now sort of the kids' room. Where they game and have friends over and sleepovers or whatever kind of thing. So at some point in time, I envision being able to take over that.
Awesome.
But that's in another couple of years, unfortunately.
No, that's cool. Congratulations on the piece. So was that piece long time being planned to get? Like, were you planning to get that for some time?
The barge?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was an adopter or a backer or whatever you want to say when that happened.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Cool.
So yeah, I picked that. I took a chance on it. You know, it was a salty, crazy. That was an endeavor. I'm like everybody bummed I didn't get two because they did end up turning around. People were able to flip them and pay for the one kind of thing. I wish I would have done something like that. But yeah, I was taking a huge gamble on the one that I got kind of thing. I remember the day that it showed up. Because I knew it was huge and I had the tracking whatever manifest or whatever from FedEx or whatever, and knew the day it was showing up. So I worked from home that day and was just anxiously awaiting this thing or whatever. And sure enough, it was a monster. It was huge, and I was quasi trying to sneak it into the house past the misses, kind of thing. Because once it's in, then it's a little easier to explain.
Yeah,
not really. But anyway,
stuck a lamp on top of the box.
Yeah, the thing is absolutely huge. And the FedEx guy, when he was bringing it up, I said something to him, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the second one I delivered. I live in a small town, USA." And I was like, "Oh, wow. Interesting. There's somebody else in my town that picked one of these up."
You can go look at his, see how his looks.
Yeah.
Oh wow, fantastic!
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That was
awesome.
Crowdsourced, right? That whole thing.
Yeah, it was like it was the Hasbro Labs first thing, and then they did that with the Razor Crest, which I got to keep an eye on because I ended up backing that as well. So I'll see that at some point in time.
Me too.
So think about this, Ron. You and the backers of that barge allowed were the proof of concept for HasLab being able to do this continuously. So because of backers like you, we're able to. I mean, I'm never going to be able to get a barge, but just the idea that that's out there for collectors.
Yeah, I definitely sat on it and watched it and was leery and wondered. And my backing was very late into the game, day or two before it was finally going to go.
It's a big
stop or whatever, because it was just, you weren't sure how that was working or what that process was. But yeah, it's a fascinating business model that they have, that they were able to do just that and create that thing and get it out there and prove to themselves and then prove that business model can work, that they could create something specifically for the people that want to buy it, and the Razor Crest is proof of that. I forget the numbers on the crest are obscene in terms of what I've seen of I believe the barge ended up being rather obscene too, in terms of they got a great number of backers.
I do believe that they met their quota. I think it was the
barge definitely met the barge definitely met its quota, and the Razor Crest I think was exceeded far and beyond from what I remember.
That's awesome. You were part. I mean, basically, you're part of merchandising history, and as far for just like I say that I don't have the ability to encourage this kind of marketing, merchandising, but because of folks like you, it's that's I think it's awesome.
Okay, right.
So,
but as my member, I'm supposed to be going around the table, but very good. It's always good to hear about the story. We live the story of the barge, which is pleased to know it's not going. Its stock is rising day by day. Okay, Alex.
Yes.
How was your last month, Star Wars wise? Not.
You know what? I've actually I've done a couple of Star Wars things. First thing I did was Audible sent me an email about having a trial, which I had already used the trial, but they sent me an email saying, "Hey, Amazon's offering a trial for Audible," and I'm like, "Okay, let me see if they'll give me the free," because they usually offer a free book. And sure enough, even though I had done the trial about 2 or 3 years ago, I did the trial again, and I was able to listen to Light of the Jedi. So I got that out of the way. And yesterday I canceled the trial so that they won't charge me.
So you keep the book, don't you? You keep the book.
Yeah. So I was able to listen to Light of the Jedi in marathon fashion because I didn't want to go past the trial and get charged. So I listened to that. I got that under my belt. I was watching an episode. I was doing stuff on the internet, and I saw a picture of the Gorzanti cruiser from Rebels that had the listening devices on it. And I remember I had made one out of insulation foam, and it was just sitting on my shelf. And I was like, maybe I can attach radar dishes to this thing, and so I've been working on that. And the last thing was I'm almost finished with the U-wing. Almost. I was able to recreate the wings out of some thin wood, and I covered in styrene sheets, and so I was able to put those on, and I just need to paint it and create the little action figures and make a stand for it. As it turns out, I'm not able to close the wings because there's not enough. The way the thing was designed as a toy, the wings folded up into the hull. So I created the wings as a solid piece, and it won't go into the fold. So I have to keep it open. So now this thing needs a place to go because it's way too big. So it's probably going to go in my attic with the rest of the stuff. And that's about it for Star Wars. Oh, I posted some things on the site on the group about the model that William gave me. I've been able to replicate through molding and casting the panels for the Death Star attack model. So I've decided that I'm going to make it into a diorama and maybe have a forced perspective look to the thing with the trench kind of narrowing into the exhaust port access.
Yeah, I saw those pictures. Did you have to spray it black, or was that how it becomes? You're gonna spray it white?
No, the plastic, the resin that I used comes black. But
that looked nice when you paint it over.
Yeah. If all you need is like a light coat of from a rattle can, a light coat of white, and it becomes this mottled gray. So I don't know when that's going to happen because in order to do as it turns out, the little panels break down into smaller panels. So I think I'm going to be able to create the forced perspective by cutting those parts that I recast into smaller parts. But that's going to take plotting, and I don't know how long that's going to take. So it's funny how your mind just kind of races and you wind up doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You're looking at the shelf and you're like, I got to get rid of that. What am I going to do with this? What was I thinking with that? Like, I got a million projects that I can't wait to retire to not finish. So, but yeah, that's been my thing.
Right on. Okay. Ricky.
Yes. We are still doing the Saga Marathon watch, so I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for Clone Wars. So just finished the whole droids arc with the Void and all that good stuff, and Gregor.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that episode since I've only watched it once or twice. It wasn't too bad. Like I actually liked, the concept was kind of weird, but I mean it's Star Wars, so after watching all this Clone Wars stuff, it's kind of like out of the ordinary, but I found it all interesting. It was actually kind of cool because we've been watching them like in little arcs, so every time we watch something, it's like a little mini movie. So all those 4 episodes seemed like a little movie that they could have probably kind of the same way that they did with the original Clone Wars movie, where it was just one story about Stinky the Hutt and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting into episode 3 here pretty soon. I think we got the Maul episodes next, and then the Ahsoka being framed ones and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. So I've been doing that, and then that's been and then of course reading the books. I got the Light of the Jedi, and then we did the the other one, Test of Courage, and I just bought Into the Dark. So looking to get into that. But yeah, pretty much just that, and then just chatting with people on the Instagram for the show and on Twitter and stuff like that. It's been pretty fun interacting with people and seeing what other people are reading and doing, and it's kind of getting back into fandom there. So that's pretty much been it though, and playing a little bit of trying to get Fallen Order done. So, but wow. I'm just playing pieces at a time. But yeah, that game is pretty fun. I just gotta spend some time out of doing all this other Star Wars stuff to just sit there and play it for a while. But,
yeah. You got the Xbox S, right?
No, not yet, and I've kind of given up.
Oh, really?
I think I'm just gonna wait.
I thought you'd gotten it for Christmas.
No, I would plan on getting it for my birthday, and then I couldn't get any, and then my brother actually got one in December. He got the Series X, and so
wow.
which is why I've been playing with and he hadn't had a console in years, so I mean it's been pretty fun interacting with him on there. But I mean, my Xbox One works perfectly fine. Pretty much the only reason I wanted the new one was so I could put one in the bedroom and one in the other room, so we can because my wife and I, and so does my daughter, we all play Fortnite, so we like team up and destroy people.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Which that's another thing I've been doing too. They're doing the whole Mandalorian thing for the current season. So yeah, I've been playing as Mando, and they actually had a new type of with a gameplay in there where it's basically you get a bounty puck and you have to take out everyone, and whoever gets the most credits is the top leader. And then once you're the top leader, Mando comes and tries to just take you out. So that's been pretty fun. We did beat it like twice. So, but yeah, it's just kind of cool that they've implemented the stuff from the show when they're with. I mean, it actually looks like the show with the bounty puck, and it shows the image of the guy's head, and that's who you got to go kill and all that stuff. So
is it a kind of like a campaign? Like you don't have to interact with against other players, do you?
No, yeah, you're killing other players that are like actual, other online players. So it's the battle royale thing. Yeah, it's still the same thing, but it's Mandalorian themed. So
do you fight? I don't know if it was the Mandalorian DLC, but is the slave one there? Does it show up? It's the Razor Crest, right?
The Razor Crest is there, and it's like he crashed in the Fortnite Planet Island thing there. So so he's guarding that. So once you get close to him, he'll just snipe you from miles away. So you gotta
wow.
Yeah, and if you kill him, you get his weapon, the big stick. Well, I don't remember I never remember what
the Beskar spear.
Yeah, the blaster weapon one with
the disruptor.
Yeah, so if you kill him, you get that, and that thing's like the best sniper gun ever.
Oh man!
Game. Yeah.
Wow, I might
get hit once with that, and you're dead. Yeah,
and you can get
a jetpack too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And I'm just waiting. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for the Star Wars skins to rotate around, because they did at one point have Rey and Finn and Stormtroopers and all that stuff in there, which I didn't jump on when they came out. So I'm hoping they rotate that back out and I can buy one of those so I can play with Trooper or something. But, yeah. No, it's really fun. I mean, if you like playing video games anyways, and it's free. I mean,
yeah,
you can play the season without having to pay, and Mando's still in there. But if you want to earn any of the skins and stuff, then you have to sign up for the thing. But yeah, you can just totally jump in there and play for free and get killed by Mando if you want.
Were you on Fortnite when the great era was cursed? Did you hear that announcement?
Oh yeah, no, we watched that day when it came out. Yeah,
oh wow!
For Rise of Skywalker, that was pretty cool. They showed the whole preview for Rise of Skywalker, and J.J. Abrams came out in Fortnite. And all that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the only place you could hear that message from the Emperor.
Yeah,
if you were playing Fortnite.
Hell yeah.
That's cross marketing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been fun. So.
Okie dokie. Right on. And Will.
Yeah, I'm back. Had some technical difficulties there, but I'm back. So yeah, pretty much the same as a lot of people reading the High Republic. So I started with the Light of the Jedi, and then I got into the comics. So there are 2 issues in the Marvel book, 1 issue in the IDW, which is the IDW title, which is called the High Republic Adventures, and I really enjoyed all 3 of those comics. They're really good. Lots of tie-ins to the novel itself, obviously, and even some of the previous issue in the comic and stuff. And the art is really cool. So like I said, I'm enjoying those. Something that sort of was a holdover from Christmas time was I started doing a 4K rewatch of the saga, including the spin-offs, and I've been really enjoying that. I think in the group I posted some sort of comparison pictures between what Disney Plus streams and the actual 4K off the disc. And so with some of the other members, we were talking about it, and there's a very marginal difference between what's on Disney Plus and what's off the disc. It's very marginal, and you can notice it in certain spots. I guess one spot that we sort of picked up on it was the scene when Vader in Episode 4, when Vader walks through the tent to 4 Quarter, and you're looking at the helmet. You can see a lot of great detail in the helmet, and that was one place where we really picked up on the difference between the disc and the difference between Disney Plus. Just more detail and deeper sort of black colors, deeper saturation of the colors off the disc. So for anyone on the fence, I mean, it's a marginal difference. It's not huge by any stretch. I mean, they look beautiful. I mean, it's a 43-year-old film now, so I'm
just wondering, as you're saying that, how much better can they possibly get?
Yeah, exactly.
Given what they were recorded in, I mean, how much better can you get?
Well, I mean, the way the technology is now, I mean, the TV will actually upscale your PlayStation, or your 4K player in some cases will actually upscale it so it looks even better. So yeah, it's a valid question is in terms of, like, they shot it on a certain definition. And then, like, how much more can they pull out of it, right? It's a really good question of how much deeper can we go here with this. But yeah, I don't know. I think 4K is going to be here for a little while now, because I'm starting to see it pop up a lot more at regular retail. So I think that's the format for the foreseeable future. 8K obviously is bearing down as well with 8K TVs coming, but yeah, like I said, I guess my bottom line from that was, or my findings from it was, very marginal difference, but there was a difference between the disc versus the actual streaming. And then what else have I been up to? Not too much more in terms of Star Wars. I did receive a cool gift from a Star Wars friend of mine. He sent me some Tales of the Jedi comics, and he and I were talking about doing like a little discussion on those. Once I need to get some more of those, because actually I didn't get the full runs when I was back in the 90s. I was a poor student, so fortunately I didn't get all those. But yeah, I get that. It was a cool gift from him, and I did get the Black Series quill. I found that last week. So, and Alex, did you find Jar Jar? Did I see that post you posted?
No. I saw the announcement. I was at Target farting around, and I saw it was. I saw a new figure. It had a gold. I didn't really care for the figure, so I don't remember. But yeah, the box was different, and it had a gold accents on it. And I was like, "Is this a new line of black figures?" And then I went online, and sure enough, there's Jar Jar is one of them, and I think Khalil might be part of that release also.
I've seen Jar Jar out in the wild. They've changed the Black Series packaging to reflect to add some color to the side or whatever, and it is a nice look or whatever. What's interesting, seeing Jar Jar in the wild, he must be case shipped, because a recent toy run that I was at, the only thing on the shelf was like 12 Jar Jars, and it wasn't like it was picked over. It really looked like they emptied a case and put it on the shelf.
Yeah,
kind of
disturbed. But that's probably all they have right now, because all the Star Wars shelves are just empty. Like
it's very hit or miss. The supply chain is definitely disrupted from COVID, it seems, or whatever, and it's very spotty and hit or miss. And the limited toy runs that I've been making or whatever, just the stores, their staffing must be down too or whatever, because the toy aisles from 1 week to the next week or 2 weeks later, whatever, it looks the same. They haven't reorganized it, haven't restocked it, haven't done anything to it, kind of thing, whatever. So yeah, I think everything is still being COVID affected at this point.
A couple points there, even to go back to you, Ron, and the sail barge. I mean, this whole HasLab feels like it was a great experiment for us collectors, in that, we're having so much trouble trying to get this stuff at regular retail. It really begs the question of, like, how long before they start putting cases. Actually, I think they're already doing it, but how long before they start putting full cases up, and we could just order directly from Hasbro and cut out everybody else, because it's just becoming such a nightmare to try to get some of this stuff, especially if you're a completist or something like that. Like, if you want to get it all, and it's so difficult. I have a wholesaler here locally, and I'm in Eastern Canada here. And if it wasn't for the wholesaler, like, I would miss complete waves, exclusive, like just impossible, right? So that's my, I feel like I hope this is where they're going with it, is that, let's just deal directly with Hasbro.
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah, it must be something with shipping, because I mean, I can't find Pokemon cards either. There's like all the toys that I want to collect and stuff is like gone. Like, it's weird.
Right. Okay. Right. So it's me. It's me. So, High Republic Rise, which we'll get on to shortly next-ish. I have, let me see, what have I done? I have totally spoiled myself on the Life of the Jedi book by reading about it and hearing other people have written about it, rather than me actually reading it. So I've had the cheats guide to it. Obviously, I've missed out a lot of finer detail, but at least I have the gist. And I have read the first issue of the comic. I can't remember what one it is. It's the one with Skier training his Padawan one on it. I'm not sure what the title is. Issue one.
That's the Marvel.
It's the Marvel one. Yeah. I've just seen, when I was clicking around randomly, as I do when people are talking, sorry, it's nothing personal, but I've just seen some way of cheating the system to get hold of the other Star Wars things, so it thinks I'm in the US. So I might be doing that later to get hold of the other issues and stuff you're talking about, the 1 and 2 High Republic Adventures stuff. I'll have a go at that, because I don't like being too far behind. And I brought the cheats guide, also the children's edition of the Light of the Jedi, which I've already forgotten the title to. Somebody remind me, Will. What's it called? The children's version.
Is it the Great Storm? Is that what it's called?
The Great Jedi Rescue.
Oh, yeah.
The Great Jedi Rescue. That's right. Yep. That's it. I bought that and I listened to that / read it. 24 pages. Even I could do that. Yeah. So I was well spent after that. So that's helped as well. It's really good, actually. I have to say, I lapped that off, because there's great artwork in it, which obviously you don't get in the actual the hardcore book. So it really did help bring it to life a bit more, and also the narration was quite good. They actually put some background noise and stuff in it, which I wasn't expecting at all. I wasn't even expecting to listen to it. I just thought just a digital book, but it said play, and I thought, what the hell? And it was wonderfully narrated. So there's that, and also I've re-begun the Clone Wars rewatch, which I got so far to about a year ago, and then totally forgot that I was doing it. So I restarted that, and I'm around about the, as I said in the group, I've read about the Boba tries to kill Mace multiple times arc. I mean, it's really interesting. That brings up a lot of other topics as well, which I won't go into now because we're not talking about that. So yeah, that's I think that's about it for me. And obviously trying to find the various means of acquiring stuff which we can't get in the UK at the moment. It's got to be done. Okay. Oh, and I have read the latest Vader and what do we call it? Star Wars saga, the one in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Star Wars series. Yeah, just really good as well. I have to say, I've been quite impressed with both of them. That's something else we'll probably talk about as well, is the Darth Vader thing, which has gone from terrible to pretty good, in my opinion. Okay, so we've gone round the table, the great big virtual table, and we shall now move ourselves along to the High Republic. And before we go into it in any great depth, we just need to check who has read what, who knows what, so we can gauge how much we totally spoil each other by saying too much or saying too little. Will, I know you've digested about everything there is to digest.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm pretty much up to date in terms of the novels and the comics.
Okay, Alex, you've read Light of the Jedi?
Yeah, I've listened to the Light of the Jedi.
Yeah. You've basically done it. That's it. Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it. If you have an Audible account, I think I can share the book with you.
That's an interesting. Yeah, I have come close to buying it, but it would take me like 3 months to get through it, and by the time be another 2 books out. But yeah, it's an idea. I am tempted to actually acquire it, even though I know the gist of things now, because I just hear so many great reviews and bits and bobs. I really think it's worth my time, even if it takes me months to get through it.
If if you ever decide that you want to listen to it, it's I listen to it on the commute and at work during break, and before you know it, it's like a 13-hour book. Before you know it, it's all done, and it takes less effort
than 3 weeks.
Yeah, just about. So it's it takes less effort to listen, and there's sound effects, and it paints a picture in your mind.
You've sold it now. Ricky, you're near the end of
I read Light of the Jedi. I just finished that on Friday, which I'm kind of glad we decided to talk about it, because it really motivated me to finish the book, because I have a bad habit of just picking it up and then forgetting. But yeah, I did Light of the Jedi. Just finished Test of Courage yesterday. Both were really good. I just bought Into the Dark. I haven't read any of that book yet.
I think literally Test of Courage comes out tomorrow in the UK, so I should probably
acquire that one's actually pretty good. I mean, it's shorter than because it's supposed to be ages 9 to 12 books. But I mean, it doesn't really read that way. But I mean, it's a good book. But yeah, I haven't read any of the comics. I did sign up for the Marvel Unlimited again, like I had, and they're not on there, so that was a waste. But but hopefully something pops up on. I think the other one is IDW anyways, The Adventures. But I was really hoping to get the main series on there, but I guess it's not on. What's the other one that they used for the comics?
Comicsology.
Was that the one you mentioned?
Comicsology. That's the one I've just seen
on the High Republic show. They said catch the comics on there, but I forget what it was. But yeah, I'm gonna have to dive into those, because just hearing you guys talk about them and looking at the artwork, it's kind of interesting. And then
somebody has posted how they tricked the cosmology website to thinking that they were in the US and stuff, and acquired the new stuff. So they've printed out their little details of how they did it exactly in Reddit. So I'm going to try that myself and see whether I can acquire some stuff. Ron, do you know anything about?
Spoil away. Yep. Nope. Star Wars for me is what's on screen.
Right.
So the books and the comics were never something I consumed. But I don't mind being spoiled or hearing about it and learning about it. Be quite intrigued.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we can, even talking generally, there's quite a lot we can all talk about and stuff. But that means there have been several short YouTube stuff where they've gone through some of the characters. I think that's a good idea to go through them, especially for Ron. It will help. With some answer some questions and bring up some more debate. So I should just get my UE2B.
And I guess from a recorded thing that people are listening to or whatever. So we're discussing the High Republic books that.
Yeah, there's been books and comics.
Books and comics, and if I understood from looking at it from the outside or whatever, there was You wanted to read the comic before the book, if I recall correctly, or there's one before the other. There's a bit of a spoiler in something.
The Jedi books first, isn't it?
Right, so you want to consider the book.
Yeah, the books are.
Well, there's actually some short stories first, but
generally, they generally say read them in terms of release, right? So just to backtrack a little bit, and I think I just heard Stephen mention it in Star Wars Insider number 199. They had I think it was Charles Soule. He had short story, part 1 of his story. And it's essentially two characters that, and again, I don't want to go too deep into any of this, but it's two characters that we actually do meet up with in the novel. And they're sort of on the Starlight Beacon, which is that sort of space station that you see on the cover and a lot of the artwork and stuff, which is essentially what the series is largely based around. But yeah, so it is the short story, and then it goes into the Light of the Jedi. There was a spoiler, I believe, in the it was very minor, but it is a character death. There was a spoiler in the Marvel issue number 1, so it was good to finish. It was good to finish the novel before you read that issue number 1.
So many character deaths, though. So.
So let's get this right clear. How many years is this all before the Phantom Menace?
So 200 years, I believe, is the number that's been that I've heard bandied about.
Right, and do we? And I know this in phases. This is going to go. Is this when we get to like the third phase and that kind of stuff? This is going to go pretty close to the Phantom Menace-ish era.
I believe so. I believe so. I've heard a rumor that the Acolyte Disney Plus series is going to take place 50 years before the Phantom Menace. So, and again, it's just a rumor. Just take it with a grain of salt. But so if we look at the High Republic as the 3 phases, maybe are they going to take us right up to the Phantom Menace? Are they going to sort of butt against that? I don't know. They haven't said yet. Yeah, exactly.
Is Yoda in this?
Yes.
Right? He is.
I mean, limited.
He's in the comic.
They're not focusing or whatever, but he's obviously around and a part of all of what's doing in all these stories.
Yep.
He makes he's mentioned briefly in the Charles Soule novel, but I think he appears in the comics, right?
Yeah, and something that was interesting in that first Marvel issue was it seems like Yoda is coming back from a sabbatical. Like I don't know, there's a bit of a mystery there. I don't know where he went or why he was there, but they're kind of saying to him like, "Oh, geez, we didn't think you were going to be back so soon. So where was he and what was he doing? I don't know." One of the graphics you see in some of these launch trailers, and I find this actually very thematic of this series in general, is you see kind of this light spreading through different points of the galaxy, and obviously the title of the book is Light of the Jedi. So I found that to be a theme that sort of carries throughout not only the novel and the comics, but I just feel like that theme of. We hear Alec Guinness or Obi-Wan talk about, the Jedi were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, and I feel like that is really sort of their launching point for this series. They're showing the Jedi at a more civilized time, and just you really get a sense, and it's very positive and optimistic of just what the Jedi are up to, what they look like, what that looked like back 200 years prior to A New Hope. And I feel like it's symbolic of the graphic that they show. I think they might even show it here, where there's light spreading throughout the galaxy, and this starlight beacon is, again, it's a beacon of hope, a beacon of light. It's this setting the tone for this series is very much there's no war there, but so they can devote their resources to helping people. It's really and I found that was very.
They kind of described it as the anti-Death Star.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that very refreshing in a way. Not that no wars. It's going to be boring or anything, because it's not. Yeah. But I found that was a nice, refreshing take in this sort of tumultuous time that sometimes we live in.
So, I mean, at this point in time that the series is starting, they've been at their peak for about 1,000 years, haven't they? Pretty much.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
thousand generations.
Well, yeah,
right.
It was the kind of thing where they've been at their peak so long, they've only just got to put in this starlight beacon at the outer room and stuff. They don't just go into the outer section.
That's right,
aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah, so
it seems like everything's like in the core.
This is where it all goes wrong, basically, isn't it? I suppose essentially is that they've been doing pretty well in the central areas, and then now they have been in the outer areas, of course, but now when they're trying to make it a bit more permanent, that the outer areas, shall we say, are pushing back in some respects.
Like these books are literally the expanded universe of the Star Wars galaxy.
And they're actually expanding out, right?
Yeah.
Which is literally, literary and literally.
Okay, so I'll whiz through these ones one after the other. So 1, 2, 3. There's 4 Jedi-ish characters.
Yeah, this one is for Vernestra Rowe, who's actually the main Jedi in Test of Courage. So.
All right. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Right, so I'll whiz through them. So let's be about 5 minutes, and then we shall have a little.
What is Test of Courage?
Test of Courage is like the elementary school age book, I guess, that came out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like ages 9 to 12.
About my level.
And that does that run along? So you're saying that Test of Courage?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, so it's I just want to determine if it's a child version of Light of the Jedi.
No, it's a completely it's a side story. It's a completely different. I wouldn't actually call it a side story, but it's like an event that happened within the same time frame.
Ricky, I wonder if you should. I don't know if we want to just go ahead with the videos, but I wonder, Ricky, if you should come back to Test of Courage and elaborate a little bit on the plot. That one.
I think I was just going to say. I think the what I would call the hardcore novels are sort of like in the High Republic era. These are sort of like the films, aren't they? In some respects.
Yeah.
They're the definitive hardcore central story, shall we say? And everything else is sort of filling in and adding other bits and stuff. Is that pretty much true?
Yeah, I think so. They introduce a lot of characters in Light of the Jedi, so it seems that people get promoted, people die, people leave, people go. So I think that you're right. This is the novels or the film of the film equivalent to, or the literary equivalent to the films.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's whack it up full screen-ish and play away.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Vernestra Rowe is the gifted Mirialan Padawan of Jedi Master Stellan Gios. Her connection to the Force and her skills with the lightsaber are exemplary. At just 15 years old, Vern passed her Jedi trials and became one of the youngest Jedi Knights in the history of the Republic. Vern may be young and inexperienced, but the Jedi Council sees great promise. While accompanying delegates to the Starlight Beacon launch ceremony, a great disaster strikes, and Vern steps up to take command on her very first mission. This era is one of adventure and exploration for the Jedi, as they work to protect the Republic and illuminate the darkest corners of the galaxy with the light of the Force.
See, that's really cool, right? Like I
love that bit at the end. Yeah, I have to say.
Yeah, I can imagine myself being a 7-8-year-old kid on a Saturday morning and just seeing that. I mean, that's epic, right? Like that's.
Oh, my daughter's begging for a show. Like she.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting concept, right? That you just said there, right? The Saturday morning cartoon aspect of what this could be, type of thing, would be fascinating. Because it's Star Wars, it's new characters, it's things it's things the kid would quasi recognize, but they could hear different stories and really be entertained by it. Yeah, that is an interesting, unfortunate thing that's not going to happen.
You never know. I've heard rumors.
Well, right, with the Disney Plus and needing content and needing a reason to sign new people up, and you can't be static with the content you have and just rely on or whatever. Yeah, they very easily could present a present something that's a Saturday morning cartoon type of fodder that would allow for some content and visually tell these stories that may have already been told in book form or comic book form, but let a kid watch it.
That's right.
Okay, all right, we'll skip through these. I had to stop that then
my daughter
because
loves that character.
Correct.
She thought she was so cool, like Vanessa Rowe.
All right, we'll move on.
What's the next one? Is it Avar?
Avar.
She's like the main Jedi in Light of the
Yeah.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Jedi Master Avar Kriss is the paragon of the Order. Her compassion as a leader is inspiring. While abundant in many abilities, some more rare than others, one of the simplest things that separates Avar from the other Jedi is that she sees the Force as music, eliciting tone, rhythm, and a beat. In an event that would come to be known as the Great Disaster, a ship traveling through hyperspace is thrown from its course without warning and plummets towards a nearby planet that is home to billions. Master Kriss steps up to lead the rescue effort. The High Republic is an era where the Jedi protect the glorious Republic from dangerous pirates, marauders, and raiders. But as the Republic expands its reach into the fringes of the galaxy, unpredictable threats await.
Red.
Alex, you have a really interesting take on that character in regards to their Force ability. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
I thought that the idea of having a Jedi who sees the Force as music is it's kind of beautiful, in the sense that people of all abilities, right, can kind of relate to music. It's and the Force being so connected to nature and life and death and things like that. I for someone to be able to close their eyes and be able to just read the Force as music and to, it's I was gonna say
like harmony.
Without putting too fine a point on it, it's people who are differently abled might be able to relate to something like this. Not synesthesia necessarily. That's when you can see colors as sounds and such, but just as almost like a calming force. I remember seeing a documentary about people who were suffering from Alzheimer's, and in their younger years, they were musicians or dancers and such, and when you play music for them, they can be like in a veget.
No.
Oh, we lost.
We lost Alex.
Oh,
Did we lose him?
Yep, seems like we did.
Oh, cliffhanger.
The thing I find fascinating about it, hearing it, is it's much like Ezra and his ability to sort of connect with animals, whatever. Yeah. It's a neat way to sort of differentiate Jedi and that they have a bit of a specialty, or they connect with the Force in different ways. So I find it a neat bit of creative to have that type of.
Yeah,
they do kind of explain that.
Same as we know them.
Yeah, they do kind of explain that in the book, how each Jedi kind of feels the Force their own way. There's another one that he sees the Force as like an ocean, like he's in the water. And that's how he can tell, when things are happening. It's like Spidey sense kind of thing,
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a neat thing as we go forward and we try to have, thousands of Jedi or whatever, that they're not all the same individual with the same Force power, and that they could do anyone could be inserted into this situation. It's kind of a Justice League type of thing where you're going to want this particular Jedi in this situation to help, a Kit Fisto underwater type of thing or something that really, really can make for some fun stories, some really fascinating stories moving forward with this sort of concept. I'm intrigued by it.
So this whole thing, seeing that, I know we've got other videos to play, we can talk anyway. This whole thing, we're seeing that the graphic at the end with the light sort of bobbing around the whole galaxy and that kind of stuff. It got me thinking about where we are now. If we take exactly where we are, where we've reached to in the Star Wars saga at the end of the sequel trilogy and that kind of stuff, and Rey strolling off in the sand and that kind of thing. And there's none. I mean, essentially, if we're talking about when in the High Republic era, where it's like the Jedi being ruling, not say ruling things, but it's been everywhere for about 1,000 years. Obviously, when they're at that height, you get the idea that there's generally peace and there's nothing else going on. Well, obviously in the outer areas there is. And then when you come to where we are now with the sequel trilogy, we've got like one Jedi. I mean, it's quite clear that it's not going to be. There's nothing's going to actually reach that level of peace and no big threat unless you reach this kind of overly balanced stuff when it's the light is everywhere. So exactly where this is another thing. It's where they're going from now. It's all this kind of like bringing balance to the Force and that kind of stuff. And you know what I mean? That whole element of light and what is the chosen one and the balance and that kind of stuff, and just trying to work out.
It's like a reset. They want.
That's an interesting thing, Stephen.
I'm just trying to get my head around it all.
Right. During this time, it's kind of it's peaceful and light is everywhere. So why is there a prophecy about the balance of a chosen one bringing balance if during this time they had things kind of under control? Yeah. Why the need for a chosen one to bring balance to the Force if they had things under control during
probably why they were apprehensive about Anakin being the chosen one, because they didn't really care for the prophecy.
But so there you go. You're right. We don't need or why the prophecy? If you believe in the prophecy, we don't necessarily think the prophecy is necessary because we got everything under control. We're shining light.
Is having light across most of the central galaxy, is that classed as balance? I mean, that's not. I mean, balance is 50-50, isn't it?
I think I remember.
It's not 80-20 in favor of the Jedi sort of thing.
Right, we've gone around it, but it's not balance in terms of you have equal number of good guys versus equal number of bad guys. To me, I always interpreted the balance of the Force is always the fight within yourself when you have that power to only use it for good, to not use it to influence a gambling thing or something, that you're constantly struggle. And we do that in the real world, that you constantly struggle to do good, to not speed down the road, to just there's constantly things in your life that you're struggling to keep in check and keep in balance and keep the good as your focus. And to me, that's what that means to be the balance of the Force is to keep that power in check so that you're only and always using it for good and not succumbing to the dark side that is, I got this power, I could do anything I want with it.
And I think I remember hearing something about George describing the balance, about how it's not necessarily, like you said, 50-50. It's like, everything's supposed to be peaceful, but of course you have to have people there to course correct if somebody gets out of line. And that seems kind of like how these books have been, because it's peaceful, but they still have to go out and do certain things to stop a planet from fighting with and stuff like that, and stop crime and all this kind of atrocities that have kind of happened here and there in skirmishes. They're there to be the peacekeepers and okay, let's just not fight and find out a different diplomatic way. It seems like that.
Stephen, in the book, you're bringing up an interesting point, because in the book, one of the villains or bad guys or antagonists or whatever you want to call them complains that the Jedi, with their good, come into a region that they're not needed, and they're well needed. A bad guy's never going to say that we need cops, right? So he's saying that you bring your own brand of justice. Everything is cool as long as we do what you say. So coming from the mouth of a person whose intent is to do bad, that's pretty self-serving. But how many regular citizens are thinking the same thing? Farmers and miners and such.
But that's the very nature. Sorry, Stephen. I just want to finish it. Dave Filoni tells the story of when he first met George Lucas, and he says he went into the room and he mostly listened to George, but George explained to him how the Jedi actually worked, and George explained that the Jedi would come into a sort of a negotiation type scenario where maybe there was a civil war, and the Jedi would put their lightsaber on the table as if to say, all right, here's how it's going to go, or otherwise I got this lightsaber here. So,
Right.
I mean, ultimately that is kind of what they are. But as the book kind of interestingly brings up, yeah, maybe that's not the right, maybe that's not the right approach. This aggressive negotiations isn't the right, right way to go, right? So no, it's an interesting point that you guys that you just brought up.
But if that,
I was going to quickly ask, what is the? I don't know if it's been answered in the books yet. What is the dynamic between the Jedi and the Republic? Are they sort of like the police for the Republic? Are they like the? I mean, is it like a? It's kind of like they're like the monks,
like the
religious
team,
and stuff.
basically.
Obviously, the Republic is, in some respects, that it's seen that their chosen religion, a bit like in the UK, our chosen religion is Christianity and sort of thing as a whole. So that the Republic have chosen the Jedi as their, well, they haven't chosen, but it's developed in that way.
Yeah,
I'm wondering what is the dynamic between the Republic? Obviously, at this point in time, they're blend, they're one and all. But I mean, do we know about how that all?
From what I gathered from reading, Light of the Jedi, it seems like when we've seen the prequels, the Chancellor dispatches the Jedi to go, here, you go do this. You go. In these books, they ask the Jedi if they can help, and I think that's the big difference.
They're the backup.
Yeah,
right. One of the characters in the Into the Dark book that I'm currently reading actually refers to the Jedi as warrior monks. That's what they actually call them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a concept, right? Because if you can use your religious, if we're going to call the Jedi a religion, if you're going to use your religion as a backdrop to your enforcement of rules that are set down by a government, eventually you're going to run.
You could be labeled as a crusader or something like
right.
that.
You're going to and you might eventually run afoul of the government.
Yeah.
So
there's also this idea, which I think it's done quite well in the Light of the Jedi, is you get a cross section. You're getting a cross section of young Jedi or Padawans. You're getting a cross section of maybe 30 to 40-year-old Jedi. You're also getting a sampling of some really older Jedi, and all within that spectrum, you're seeing Orthodox. You're seeing by the rules, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi was. But you're also seeing Jedi that do loose and fast. They're playing playing outside the rules, I should say. And it's an interesting. You talk about diversity, but that's there in terms of age and experience level and knowledge and wisdom. That's all there in the books. In that first book, anyway. I just thought that
one of
was
my favorite ones was the really old Jedi. That's one of my favorite characters from the book.
Yeah, Ponder. I think his name was Ponder, and something happened to him. But you know what?
To him, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name? They're all dead.
No. There's kind of the Light of the Jedi kind of ends in not a cliffhanger, but there are a couple of loose threads that are going to be tied up in the next book, I suppose. But there's like William was saying about the diversity. I read the Padawan who becomes a knight as a male, but I think it's a female, the Morellian.
She is, yeah.
You know what? There's so many names.
Is that Vernestra?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, so it's interesting that as I was reading the book, I thought of her as a young teenage boy.
I really look forward to a companion book. Your visual guide kind of stuff too.
Oh, I haven't looked at any of the pictures.
I keep having to Google what they look like on.
I mean, I would love to have a visual guide kind of stuff too. Version of this kind of thing.
I'm sure that's coming.
I'm sure it'll happen at some point, of course. A bit early now, isn't it? But love to. I was just thinking, like, for me at the moment, I'm thinking at this High Republic time, the Jedi are kind of in a more spiritual kind of way, and then by the time we get to the prequel trilogy, they've become very religious, very defined religious. Divine ways of doing stuff, and maybe a bit old. I don't want to go down the path of labeling religion as being old and rigid and that kind of stuff. But they're kind of got set in their ways by that point, and things can only be done certain ways. And
you can
this
see
is how we do things.
You can see the progression.
More free and liberal, and there's none of that kind of we must I don't know, we must pray at 9 o'clock in the morning, then 10 o'clock at the day, that kind of stuff. It's just very much the living the Force, rather than having to worship it when it comes to sort of like the prequel trilogy.
I think the Jedi Council we see in the Phantom Menace is maybe the last adherent of this High Republic type of Jedi worship or Jedi practicing is Qui-Gon. Maybe Yoda, who has because I think Yoda, because he wants to be part of the collective, doesn't impose any of his judgments on the other Jedi in the council. But I think he sees things a little bit more clearly, almost like he's watching history repeat itself.
Yeah.
But to impose his judgment on masters of
he's already a Force ghost,
Yeah.
Thinking about what Yoda, because Yoda's around at this time, thinking about what he knows and what he sees and what he's going to witness and stuff. It's kind of like surprise. I mean, I know things have been written in back to front, but it's kind of a surprise that he doesn't really pick up on a bit more, and it's only sort of like the last moments of the Republic that he's doing this transfer into the Life Force kind of stuff. You would think they would have been right on this.
When you're in it, you don't really notice any changes, and it's like going back and looking in the mirror, and then you look at an old photograph from 15 years ago, like, whoa, I did age.
Probably, yeah. It's just I don't know. I think there's a philosophy where if you think too much, you won't act, and I think that's what got into the Jedi Council of the prequels. Just constantly, there's so many problems that they're trying to solve during the Clone Wars, or just the aggression leading up to the Clone Wars, that they're paralyzed by bureaucracy, and the chancellery and the actual bureaucracy didn't help. So, but I also believe that Sidious was a practicing Sith. The shroud of the dark side clouds everything, right? That's not nothing. Even if you have a group of Force users that are so mired in the day-to-day minutia of almost, I mean, they're at the seat of government. The Coruscant is the center. They're not out there actively. Qui-Gon was a ranger, I guess, with Obi-Wan. He was sent as an ambassador. He's out there in the world. And then you have other guys who sit there and create law and policy.
Well, and I think in the future we're gonna start seeing how the High Republic era and Episode 1, you're gonna slowly see how the Jedi get more bureaucratic and get more.
You can see it. You can definitely see. Yeah, you can definitely see
happen
the
a little bit at a time. Like, oh, we'll do this. Well, why don't we have an advisor to the council? And that's part of the Chancellor's. It's gonna slowly happen.
Yeah.
Okay, should we skip through the rest of these? Let's get on.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's okay.
This is the Nile. Mad Max bad guys.
Let's just skip that. I can't wait for that. Two seconds.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Anarchists of the Outer Rim, the Nile are masked marauders made up of strikes, clouds, and storms, all led by dangerous Tempest runners with the same mindset. You can't take it with you, but we can take it from you. An attack from the Nile is marked by ominous smoke and poisonous gases that serve to intimidate and then kill their prey. In the shadow of the great disaster, the Nile orchestrate a twisted plan and use their mysterious yet terrifying command of hyperspace to attack systems affected by the tragedy. As the Republic encroaches on their territory, the Nile use their sadistic tactics to stake their claim on the frontier.
And thing that should be noted about the Nile, they're kind of like all different kinds of species. Like there's Aqualish, there's you know, I forgot what the other one was in the other book, and I think there's humans in there probably too. But yeah, they're just kind of like they recruit anybody who's like disgruntled or you know.
So it's a gang name, not a species.
Yeah, not a species.
It's a Black Sun equivalent. It's a
like
bad
the
guy.
strikes,
it's
the storms. Those are all the different levels of. It's kind of like I kind of compare it to like a motorcycle gang where you have like different levels of membership. You know, so you can be in a strike, you can be in a storm, you can be one of the top guys as a Tempest.
That's assuming we're all well versed in the nuances of motorcycle gangdom.
Really?
But I don't know that I knew they had lieutenants and all that. You know,
I watched the Charlie Sheen movie once where he was in a motorcycle gang.
I got to tell you that watching this video helps me understand the Nile their organizational structure better.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They
factions like that.
I mean, what I've heard about.
I don't want to get into the physics of it all, or but if the thing blows up while traveling through hyperspace, all the pieces. What's giving them any more impetus to keep? I guess there's no resistance in space. Why are they keep going at hyper? At any sort of speed of light.
That's a good question because
but I guess there's no resistance. So once they had a speed,
sure.
But half of the ship, if you think about it, half of the ship, how's that going to work? Right, it's all moving forward. If it blows up, if you think of like a firework blows up in a 360-degree ball, half of it is going back in the other direction. But I guess that was the small velocity vector of the explosion. That it's still traveling.
When you're traveling like 100 million miles an hour and you explode, I mean, that explosion is never going to be enough to propel most of it backwards.
Right. It's the small mile per hour of the explosion, and it's still speed of light. So all that shrapnel is still going. But there again, it becomes the explosion outward. How far could those pieces truly? What kind of spray is it going to create?
Okay, this is cool.
It's a minutia. We need some sort of galactic calamity to be called the problem for the Jedi. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop.
No. Look. This is an issue that people had with the Holdo maneuver, right? Because traveling in hyperspace, through hyperspace isn't like dusting crops, right?
Yeah. Boy.
So I've always understood it, and I think it still holds that hyperspace is another dimension. It's not you don't traveling light speed doesn't mean you're going really, really fast. You drop into like a shadow dimension.
Right.
Ron, you're bringing up.
She'll make two somethings past light speed.
This is the thing.
So it is speed.
It's light speed, then hyperspace, isn't it? There's nothing else in between that.
Is the issue with the Holden maneuver that she goes through the one ship, but it takes out all the others? What's the issue with the Holden maneuver?
Kind of same concept, right? She it broke off into pieces because she was in hyperspace. Like it's like Han.
Right. She took the one ship out, and that when she blows that one ship up, those fragments all go off. But I guess that's what's going on here in the High Republic, as they're saying when the ship blows up. But you think that would happen more often, or
that was kind of my thing too. You think it would happen more and. From the stuff we've seen in Rebels, where there's like ships having a chase.
Because the Falcon almost did it. Han said something about if we don't whatever, there's going to be pieces of us wherever, and she's like, "Well, I'd bypass the compressor." So it seemed like it could be much more a concern for the entire universe of shrapnel running around, and maybe that's why there's hyperspace lanes to keep things. Anyway, that's going to need some.
I'm not fully understanding of all of that and how it works. I don't want to take us down a sidetrack here, but I was just kind of curious with the people that have read it. With the people that have read it though, read the novel, was that was the explanation for what that was all about and how that occurred, this great disaster, was that satisfying for you guys? Did you think that was the right solution to it? I wasn't entirely convinced that the mystery behind it, what it actually is, I wasn't entirely convinced that was the right way to go, but and this is a different era
Like,
with
it wasn't
different.
really a mystery. Like, I kind of like figured that's.
Well, no, it had to be explained. They had to explain
Yeah.
what was happening, right? And who actually, I don't know if I can do this, but who was actually behind it. So
Why it happened.
yeah. So
Who
for
was
me, I
behind
wasn't.
It wasn't an accident that the ship blew up?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Do we get into that? Do we want to go down that road?
Well,
Steve?
we can move that, but it sets up the whole of the High Republic era, doesn't it? Really?
Well, it's
Yeah.
a spoiler alert for anyone listening
Basically-
or whatever. But yeah, so no, my limited knowledge, to having not taken any of it in, just listening to posts and people talking about it and everything, whatever. Yeah, I was under the impression it was an accident, but it's an interesting thing to hear you say. Well, it's a bit both.
It is, and okay. So let me just go with
like,
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me go with it. So you remember Laura Santeca in Episode 7 in The Force Awakens? That character. Does everyone
Right.
remember him?
Looks
Well,
like-
so there is it his grandmother or his mother? Apparently, in the High Republic era, she has this ability to be able to chart or plot out routes within hyperspace, and that enables the Nile to jump in and jump out of places really quickly to do what they want to do: steal, rob, kill, whatever they're going to do. So that enables her to be able to pass on that ability to the Nile, the leader of the Nile specifically. And so what
Like
the
navigate,
legacy.
not really-
Yeah, the Legacy Run, which is the ship which essentially explodes and blows up through and sends its debris throughout the galaxy, that comes across a Nile ship in hyperspace, and the pilot of the Legacy Run makes a maneuver to avoid that ship, and in doing so tears apart her ship. So for me, just to go back to my point, is I don't know, it almost feels that part of it feels a little less Star Wars to me, but again, I defer to the fact
I
that
can definitely see where you're coming from in that sense, and just in your description of it. That,
Yeah,
right, they had to create
like,
some
it's a-
sort of conflict or create some
Yeah.
sort of thing that's a story point or whatever, and what they did in order to get there. Is that?
I guess it's as
how
much as an
Star Wars
accident.
does that feel?
It's as much an accident as somebody intentionally driving the wrong way on the highway.
Yeah.
Basically,
Pretty much.
because they're using these routes that aren't supposed to be used, that nobody really knows about, and they don't care. They have no regard if anybody else is using the proper hyperspace lanes. 'Cause they're kind of basically cutting diagonal through, known hyperspace lanes that everybody uses for trade and for traveling and stuff. So to make a route that directly goes through one it's not legal. You're not supposed to do it. But they're doing it, and it just never happened where they ran into somebody before.
Is the concept with the Nile is the concept that they are just hanging out in hyperspace, in the hyperspace tube, or waiting for unsuspecting ships, or
No,
because
jumps.
the way the Legacy Run was blown to bits was because the captain decided to maneuver inside of hyperspace to avoid this attack. So the ship basically tore itself apart.
Yeah, and it was like an older ship too. So
Yeah. So I'm wondering, are these guys just chilling out, or can they see ships traveling through hyperspace and then intercept them? Is hyperspace an actual dimension where you can just chill and
I didn't
drink beers and?
I didn't take it that way. I took it as they have an ability to plot routes or courses that can get them to places quicker, and then that enables them to jump in, do what they got to do, then jump out. And while they're jumping out, they're traversing or crossing over the existing hyperspace lanes, and that's the problem, right? And I just want to touch on one more thing before I finish. But as the book describes it, the Legacy Run is going through hyperspace, and the pilot says she sees a red color, a crimson color in hyperspace, as if, I think the book actually describes it as hyperspace is sick or something. I think that's what they actually called it.
Yeah.
In the movies, you see this blue glow, right? And as soon as they said red, I was like, oh, maybe this is Sith. Maybe this is something to do with the Sith, and it still could be. However, the description that they offer in the book, based on that Laura Santeca character, well, the descendant of or the ancestor of Laura Santeca, it really didn't lend itself to that. So
right.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with the Santecas, probably like for anyone that hasn't, read, but they kind of that whole family kind of made themselves rich off of being able to plot all the hyperspace lanes that everyone uses all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
like the galactic navigators, which is it's a cool tie-in to Lord Santeca and Force Awakens and stuff.
But
like
there's some sort of concept described in the books where the hyperspace lanes, the tube is now red in some section or some area.
Yes. Yeah.
Almost like it was tainted for like a moment, like something tainted.
It's a lot to get your head around, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Which might be two things occupying the space at the same time, which shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So who knows? But
I'll reserve comment on judgment for now.
You know what I kind of liken it to? I kind of liken it to, if you guys ever watch the Finding Nemo or Finding Dory movies, there's I think moments in both those movies turtles. Where the turtles are on a current and they're within the current.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, and it feels like, what? If they come out of it, then they're out of hyperspace, obviously.
Yeah.
But I guess if there was another current or a subcurrent that was intersecting with it, then maybe that's how this whole thing happened. That's the kind of way I look at it.
If you shoot sideways through the current, you're going to hit something.
I know the fastest ship is because of the courses that she knows, not so much, but that kind of, I know it was a stretch in terms of an analogy or whatever, but if that's how hyperspace works, then there's no such thing as a fast ship. You're a slow turtle and you just jump into the current and boom, off you go, versus if you think of hyperspace meaning step on the gas pedal and she can make 0.5 past light speed.
Basically like how fast is your computer to find a quicker plot course.
Right. Yeah. I think that's
from what
so
I got,
there is that, but she
era,
also can make 0.5 past light speed. So there is a throttle aspect to the gas pedal, that she's a fast ship, not from a strictly plotting a course. That's part of it, but there's also she's got horsepower. So again, I will reserve some comment on judgment. That there's some more ferreting out to all
for
of
sure.
This and how
it feels like the can of worms is opened. The can of worms.
Yeah.
Do you think they expect us to understand this, or do you think they are deliberately obscuring it so that they can manipulate it as they go?
Well, that's fine, so long as that's fine, so long as they obscure it in a way that is plausible, that works, that doesn't go down a science fiction path of whatever, just so that we can keep telling a story. That's I don't want to say my non-appeal to comics, but comics can go down all these kind of crazy paths. Even the EU sort of took that liberty sometimes, because just to be able to tell a story, and I enjoy my Star Wars being grounded in fact. No, that's not right, but grounded in explainable posits, let's say.
Ron, is that the thing that turns you off to the books and the comics? Just that you might read something that you're like, this is bull. I'm not reading this.
I don't like to read. No. Star Wars was on screen, whatever. But no, there is something to the right. Because of what you create in terms of Star Wars and the Star Wars story being told on screen, you're limited to what you can tell on screen, and you're constrained a little bit. Whereas Lord of the Rings is phenomenal in terms of the picture it paints and all the stuff that you can do and all these characters and worlds and all this sort of stuff. But and Harry Potter is the same way. The books and the movies aren't the same from what I know of them, because you couldn't do that in the movie so. To me, that's the uniqueness. I've said this before. That's the uniqueness of Star Wars storytelling is what's presented on screen. So, right, when it dives into a telling stuff in book form, you can get away with so much more in a book that you couldn't do on screen, and that blurs a line for me as my Star Wars fandom is defined to me, because of I like that aspect of the Star Wars story has been told on screen, and so that helps define, shape, and mold what that story is.
I kind of got the idea. Yeah, I kind of got the idea that like in this book or in this era, that technology that runs the Falcon that makes it, go fast hasn't been developed yet. Like, I don't think anyone really has navicomputers in there.
Yeah, because they say like they've got the pre-stage of astromech droids at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's droid brains. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because in the book, they make this array to kind of try to figure stuff out, and I think that's probably like the early stages of.
Yeah, well, that makes sense then for the hyperspace lanes being a very defined sort of. This is the only way you know how to get from point A to point B in a fast way or something.
Is it too early? Is it too early for them to, or too late, I guess, for them to have figured this out? Like, it's 200 years before the Phantom Menace. It feels like they should have figured this out long ago.
But they're stuck in the core world, so they haven't expanded. So
yeah,
it's a very good point. Well, we don't have the
fast spaces. They haven't traveled fast spaces until nowish, really.
So if it's going to be if it's going to be that sort of mindset that the technology isn't quite there yet, that needs to stay true in terms of then there aren't, there can't be astromech droids or some other droid that helps. There can't be tech in this earlier era that helps them solve some sort of problem. So they've painted themselves into a corner a little bit. If that's the idea behind why they couldn't do things or why the Falcon is advanced because it's years, hundreds of years later, whatever. It has tech that lets it navigate computers and all that sort of stuff. So that's fine if that's what it's going to be that helps define and shape and mold that. But they got to be careful that they don't create some story comes up and they create some droid. It's like, well, where the hell was that droid when we needed to be able to do, or that technology when we needed?
This is the furthest back now at the point, right? Like there's nothing before this. So if we get Old Republic stories now, they should probably adhere to the way hyperspace works and all that stuff and where the core planets are and everything like that.
That makes for some fun challenges and for some fun new stories. But it's going to be a challenge for us as fans to go, well, why don't they just that tech
really
didn't exist
the
yet,
rest of the book was like so great. Like the hyperspace stuff is kind of like
Yeah.
I think over
point of way back when was like, did that work for everybody? That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
You got another video, Stephen? Not that helps the podcast.
We'll go straight through the last two videos, then we got them out of the way.
Right, so zip it is one here.
Yep.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Bel Zettifar is the dependable apprentice to Jedi Master Loden Greatstorm. Determined to prove himself, Bel would follow his master anywhere, despite Greatstorm's unconventional teaching style. Bel sees the Force as a flaming light when he focuses. That light is sometimes no brighter than embers, but other times it burns with the strength of an inferno. Billions living in the Hetzel system are in danger after a catastrophic hyperspace disaster hurtles projectiles towards them. Bel and Master Greatstorm are sent to Hetzel Prime to aid the planet's evacuation. And while Bel trusts in Force, the two Jedi have only 80 minutes until impact. The Jedi of the High Republic are luminous, instilling hope, bringing peace, and protecting life even in the furthest reaches of the galaxy.
I'm glad they came out with this video because I had no idea which one was Bel.
Yeah, he was a cool character. He kind of felt like he was a point of view character. That you're way into this story, and I liked how his master kept pushing him out of moving vehicles to test him. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. I think I've heard the name Greyside, whatever before. Why does that feel Greystorm? Why does that feel so familiar?
He-Man.
I might think it just I've heard this name before. I'm sure I have. I don't know where I've heard it. It must be in some other show or something.
You might be thinking of Greystroke, the Legend of Tarzan.
Yeah, maybe it kind of does something like that.
I really don't think I'm thinking of that.
Guarantee that I've not seen it yet.
Yeah, you're quite right. Okay, let's do the last one.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Chancellor of the Republic, Lina So, is cherished by the galaxy that she serves. She actively works to strengthen the Republic through expansion, peace, and optimism. Lena is rarely seen without her two giant pet Targons, Matari and Boru. They are her companions, her guards, and even her sounding boards. But above all else, they are loyal to her, and she to them. When fallout from a disastrous hyperspace explosion threatens whole star systems, Chancellor So works with the Jedi to handle the immediate danger and goes so far as to close the hyperlanes, a controversial decision that some disagree with. The High Republic is an era of great expansion for the Jedi and the Republic, but a step too far into the galactic frontier heralds the arrival of a merciless foe, unwilling to abide by the rules of outsiders.
Yeah, see, she closed the hyperspace lanes, which makes me think that it's not something you can do on your own. You have to use their designated lanes. You know.
Did anyone get anything nefarious about her? I kind of felt towards the end of the book there was some sort of seeds that were being planted about her.
She's just like a true believer in everything is good. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, she might bend. Maybe at some point, but right now it looks like she's genuinely wants things to be good, but maybe she's a little power hungry, you know?
Well, there's crystal things she's got. Not kyber crystals, are they? In her forehead and around her.
Well, she has those two giant monsters there too all the time.
Tigers, giant tigers.
The cats, yeah.
The ship at the beginning of that, or the space station, is that derivative, or it's obviously very similar to Resistance, the ship in Resistance, isn't it? Just a little bit.
Oh, I don't know. You're thinking tall and slim is what you're thinking.
Is that the only thing that's there?
Yeah, it's
Starlight.
Yeah, Starlight.
The Starlight seems like a combination of Cloud City and the Jedi Temple. Yeah.
Is that light really going to spin around the top? I mean, that must be really distracting if you're trying to.
It's supposed. It's supposed to be an electronic signal that you can pick up on all devices within a certain range.
All right, so it's not going to be a great blinding light.
Yeah, it's not an actual light.
They're getting 5G in Outer Rim.
Yeah. China.
We haven't got 4G yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is amazing in itself, isn't it? When you think about it, just the Starlight Beacon. I mean, you want to know a lot more about that.
The idea of a waypoint. The idea of a waypoint being set up by a central government it makes sense. It's if they're if they've got the mid-rim under control, then if you're venturing out past that into the unknown regions and wild space, leaving beacons behind makes a perfect sense. And if those beacons happen to be populated by Jedi Rangers, then even better, So the idea
there and cultural centers.
Well, yeah, that's now you're talking.
From a story point of view, I mean, it lends itself to unlimited potential. I mean, it's a jumping off point when they can just go out and have adventures and save people and get involved in stuff. And it's pretty exciting. Like we talked about Saturday morning cartoon. I mean, Justice League kind of thing.
The whole storyline with the Jedi that were just on that temple on that no-name planet, hanging out there and training, and
an outpost.
Go check on things. Yeah, it's an outpost basically.
So it makes you wonder when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon arrive at Naboo.
Yeah.
Were they dispatched from Coruscant, or were they at an outpost? That's because they never say that they left. They were sent by Valorum, that's for sure, but they never say that they left Coruscant.
I think they were from Coruscant because one, the Chancellor dispatched them, and two, they're in a Republic cruiser. It doesn't. It doesn't definitively say place them there, but I would imagine maybe they got summoned and then they had to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, I always assume they came from. I know it doesn't. Like you're saying, it doesn't implicitly say, but the strong suggestion is that they did.
Cool point, though. That's cool.
They certainly weren't dispatched from Starlight Beacon. I can tell you that.
No. I'm guessing that blows up somewhere along the way.
I imagine there's not much left of that by the time.
No. So I guess I want to ask the group, how did everyone feel about that first novel? Does it compel you enough to go and read more?
I think this is going to be a one and done for me.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
I'm not interested in what happens next.
Wow.
Unless it's written by
Matter of
Charles
fact.
Soule. Unless it's written by Charles Soule. This guy has Stephen King level of details in
Mm-hmm.
the way he tells a story. I don't want to take a chance on another author ruining it for me. You know what I mean? So.
And how about you, Ricky? You're
Oh
obviously
no,
into it.
I'm gonna gobble up any book that they release now because I'm totally enthralled in like the era, and I want to know more about these Jedi that I've met, and what's gonna happen with these bad guys that are progressing and doing all this stuff, and how it all fits into the grand scheme of things overall. So yeah, no, I did enjoy the younger novel, the Test of Courage. I thought that one added a lot, and I'm gonna get into the Claudia Gray one, Into the Dark, here pretty soon. So. No, I'm totally looking forward to just. I might even pick up some of the comics. I'm just interested in this whole. Which I only started reading this stuff because you guys were talking about it so much. So I wasn't. The fact now that I have 3 books sitting on my table here, I'm totally like mystified that I did that because I had zero interest in any of this when it was announced. So,
Awesome. Cool. And then there's Stephen and Ron. I know Stephen, you're interested in it, and Ron. And how about you, Ron?
So right,
Has watching any of this whet your appetite, Ron, to
get into reading it? Yeah, sorry, no.
Well, not necessarily reading it, but maybe
he'll take the clip notes.
I don't mean to discount it to that extent or whatever, because I am interested in it from a standpoint of it is a fascinating storytelling model that they've sort of built here, where and a way to tell some fun Jedi Star Wars universe type stories, good guys, bad guys, keep the force in check, keep the force in play, and do something for fans and younger fans and older fans for that matter, and tell some stories that way. So I am intrigued by the next book and to hear what you guys talk about in terms of what goes on in the next book, but to the extent to where I get into it's not my lifestyle to read a book. Audio book perhaps could be intrigued by doing that, but yeah, it sounds like a book and a comic book. There's a lot of characters, a lot of character names that you got to wrap your head around and get and I guess and it sounds like they are committed to it. So I guess if I knew that it was something to reserve some brain cells to commit to memory kind of thing or whatever, it'd be worth it. But I don't want to get trapped in that expanded universe model where you go down this path, you fall in love with these characters and you know all about them, whatever, and then they pull the rug out from under you years later. None of that counts. Just
once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, myself, I didn't start reading the EU stuff until the movies were done, until the prequels were finished. I'm like, well, there's nothing else now, and let me just start reading these books.
And see, that's another intriguing part about this is I never went to the EU because George always said the EU was kind of like we're not,
and that's kind of how I treated it reading it.
This isn't truly, so I was like, okay, well, if it doesn't count, then I don't really know that I want to be invested in it. But this, apparently, this stuff, as they say now anyway, is supposed to count. They're trying to make it work and be one big giant thing or whatever. So if that's true, does make these a little bit more intriguing. The story definitely is fascinating, is definitely sounds worthy of keeping with it and learning more about it.
Yeah, this is like extra barbecue sauce on your ribs. Like it just adds.
Nice.
For me, at least. Yeah, I mean,
now I'm hungry.
So Stephen, are you gonna get the audiobook, or are you gonna actually buy the book? Do you think?
Well, there's the one Donna question, because I was like, I spend night. Well, I'm definitely going to read all the comics on the High Republic. That's guaranteed. I'm probably definitely going to read or try and get through all the really Julia kind of stuff, shall we say, like the Great Jedi Rescue kind of stuff. Anything like that comes out, I will definitely be lapping it up because I can get through it quite quickly, and it doesn't, really. Junior novels, there's a potential for junior novels. I might give the first one a try when it comes out in the next week, and just see how it goes, shall we say, as a little bit of a tester. The Light of the Jedi, I don't know, just because I just think it's going to take me so long to get through. and I'm forever going to be building up a backlog. 'Cause now there's already the second one's out. So I think, I don't know. I think they're always going to do these junior sort of versions of these.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like with Test of Courage, you don't really need to read it if you're just going to be, reading Light of the Jedi and that whole the adult, quote unquote, adult novels. Like it's a side story. It's extra. So
yes,
yeah. If you're only going to read a limited amount of books, I would just stick to like the main, like Alex.
Yes, I know. I realize I don't have to trouble myself with the yes. I don't have to trouble myself with the junior stuff.
Yeah, but I think as of right now, like the main book is probably Light of the Jedi, which kind of sets everything up.
I'm still. Yeah.
I was going to go back to Alex for a second, though. Alex, you did the audiobook. You said it went pretty quick. You listened to it on commutes and stuff like that. Would so you don't feel like you're compelled enough to go, like maybe the next book comes out in July. You don't think you'll get the audiobook of that and just kind of give it a try?
Nah, I like I was curious about where
what if Yoda's the main character in it?
I'll listen to you guys talk about it. I was curious about what this big push is, and Charles Soule, I've always known to be an excellent writer, and he came highly recommended by very close friends, and that's what made me decide to give it a shot. Otherwise, I like the concept art. I like the ships, the idea of the idea of hyperspace heists that's pretty awesome. And I was curious to see what the foundation for the next few years of Star Wars was going to be like. And
hey, yes, with the audiobook, did it play? It played music and stuff in the background, right?
Yes.
Did it play like the music that the Nile listened to?
It's rock music. It's
I'm just curious to hear what it sounds like.
I'll see if I can record a couple of clips, because there are a couple of, this guy Mark Thompson does every voice, and each voice is different. I'm completely blown away by this guy's vocal talent.
Yeah.
A couple of them seem familiar. There's one guy, he's like, we're going to make this the best republic in the world. And I was like, oh, this sounds kind of, it's going to be huge. You guys are going to, that's how I picked it up. So, but
it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It's going to be the best. Everybody says it, So I'll see if I can record a couple of clips and put them on in the group. And try to make them high quality, Ricky.
Yeah, I was actually able to go into my library online, my public library here, and they had Light of the Jedi on there as an audiobook. And
really?
Yeah, I actually maybe downloading the digital version just so I can try to read it when I didn't have my book with me.
Dude, check it out. I can send you some timestamps if you want. But the music in Fallen Order is the rock music that the Nile, they get nose blasted left and right. If they do something, they slam stems or whatever it is. Yeah, so they're high during these heists, and the music they play sounds similar to the music from Fallen Order when he's captured by those pirates.
Yeah.
But it's more earthbound. It sounds more like acid rock.
All that stuff out of pieces of metal and
clanky things,
which that whole thing kind of took me out of the book, but I mean I'm fine with it. I mean
it's what can you do? At one point they opened comms with somebody from a republic or some government, and the music is playing in the background. And she's like, what is that music playing in the background?
Yeah, those people are that planet. I want to know more about that planet because they seem like a Mandalorian.
Yeah, the hunters.
The Iriadu.
It was the Iriadu. That sounds so familiar, though, right?
Isn't that
the planet
Edu. That's what it reminds me of from Rogue One.
But okay, that might be it. That might be it. Yeah.
William, I will tell you this though: the collector in me, I'll end up owning the books at some point.
Nice.
They have that Five Below. You're gonna pick like 20 of them.
Yeah, exactly. If I find it at some point, whatever, I'll definitely have to, because there is that aspect of me that's like, if I ever have the time, if I ever get the time, I would like to perhaps maybe read these things or find out what all the hubbub was about back in the day. Yeah, so
which I think that's probably
I will own them at some point, no doubt.
I think that's probably why I've been buying them, just because it's a starting point. Which the EU came out, I was like in mid '90s. So yeah, I mean this is a new thing I can. And my daughter's getting into them too, so it could that we both read them, and it's a new starting point. So I'm not behind. I'm picking them up as they come out. So.
If you guys can get your hands on the Star Wars Insider 199, apparently that's going for a few bucks now because it has the first short story from this whole series, and it's hard to come by. So if you can get your hands on that, that would be a good collector's item to have.
I appreciate that too. But when was it? When was it released?
It should have only come out in the beginning of January, I think, is when I got mine.
All right, so there's a chance a comic book shop or something might have it or something.
Might be a chance.
Yeah, when I went into Barnes & Noble to pick up this one because I ordered it for pickup, and I went to the register, I did see that Star Wars Insider, and I think it had a Mandalorian on the cover. Like I was gonna buy it.
Oh yeah, somebody posted in the chat. What's the cover look like of it?
Oh, it's Vader. 199 is Vader.
And Vader. I wonder if it was just a variant cover then, because Barnes & Noble does have like their own.
The Mandalorian
special
cover is for $200, and there's also a short story in that as well.
Yeah, those things are like $15 per issue.
Yeah, they're pricey.
Yeah, it's like just buy a book. I was like, well, maybe I could just find the Insider stories online and read it that way. But yeah, no, I used to collect Insider back in the day. It's been years since I bought one.
Okay, well, we're over time. Anybody for any other business? Anybody got anything else they want to say? Forever holds our peace.
Yeah, as the outsider group, thank you, fellas. I appreciate the chat and talking through it. It was enjoyable.
I think
someone who had nothing to contribute to it whatsoever because I didn't know how to do anything.
I think whatever you know, whatever you don't know. I mean, we're all going to know something, even if you're not reading it. There's still plenty to discuss, even as a whole sort of overview concept of everything and trying to work things out and stuff. There's still plenty to discuss, even without knowing the inner depths of the stories.
Like they introduce a lot of ships and a lot of like weaponry and stuff. So that next time.
I think this is an interesting way of filling the gap between Mandalorian seasons.
And I see also some of any other business, haven't they? I'm not sure if it is actually news, but is it Disney Plus said that Bad Batch should be out in spring, so which felt like that was not news anyway. But I saw.
Yeah, I was wondering when that was going to come out.
I saw that. Said that
seems they are missing something. They should put these little snippets that you had on Disney Plus. They have like those Forces of Destiny snippets or whatever on there. That they could provide these little things just as a way to get some fans, some kids, anybody intrigued. What's the watch these things and then a blurb at the end talking about the books or something kind of thing. I think they're missing the boat there a little bit.
Well, it is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of Disney Plus trailer. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, there has not been a lot of chatter of the commercial. Not like in years past where you practically knew every commercial that was happening before it happens on the Super Bowl. So yeah, there's a strong chance of something being dropped or something catching everyone's attention and breaking the internet. That'd be cool.
I'll be watching it just for that.
Yeah, watch it for the commercials.
Yeah, watch for the commercials.
Okay, right. Well, we're out of time. We're done. We're spent.
This is the end for you.
This is the end. Yeah. Well, you didn't even speak about the main Croats bad guy in the naive, who sounds mega interesting. I have to say, from what I've heard. Nihil. Yeah. That name sounds familiar as well.
Not just a river in Egypt.
No, it's not. Not because of the Nile, but I'm sure I've heard of. It sounds familiar. Maybe it's just my brain. The brain is so empty that everything sounds familiar when I hear it.
You're thinking of Bill Nye.
I'm
Nye Bill.
You love the Nile?
Definitely not thinking of that. Okay, right. Well, we're done. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you at same time. Let me see. When's it going to be? Let me see. This is uncanny. It's actually going to be the 7th again. 7th of March.
Oh, wow.
Well, February in 28 days will do that.
Yeah.
Right on.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
Senate, good Senate session.
Thanks.
Cheers.
All right, fellas. Be well.
Until next time.
Yeah, stay safe.
Okay. Bye-bye.